Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the 12 motorcycles that look cool until you own one. Number 12. Harley-Davidson Sportster S. The Harley-Davidson Sportster S is a visual masterpiece that commands attention at every stoplight. With its high-mount exhaust, fat tires, and that aggressive, hunkered-down stance, it looks like a flat-track racer sent from the future. In 2026, it remains one of the most photogenic machines in the heavyweight lineup, packing the impressive Revolution Max 1250T engine that delivers a visceral 121 horsepower. On paper and in the showroom, the roughly $17,000 price tag feels like a fair entry fee for a bike that promises to reinvent the iconic Sportster legacy with modern liquid-cooled performance and cutting-edge tech. However, the reality of living with this machine often clashes with its muscular aesthetic. The most glaring issue is the rear suspension travel, or lack thereof. With only 2 inches of movement, every pothole feels like a direct strike to the spine. While the forward controls look undeniably cool, they create a riding position that becomes exhausting after 30 minutes, folding the rider in a way that makes long-distance cruising a chore. Furthermore, that stunning high-exit exhaust looks great until you are stuck in traffic and feel the heat radiating directly onto the right thigh. For a bike costing nearly $18,000, the limited fuel range and lack of passenger comfort turn this cruiser into a high-priced trophy that is better suited for short sprints than actual life on the open road. Number 11. BMW R18. The BMW R18 is a mechanical sculpture that stops traffic with its massive 1800cc boxer engine and gleaming exposed drive shaft. In 2026, it remains the ultimate poster bike for those who appreciate German engineering wrapped in a vintage aesthetic that pays homage to the legendary R5. Standing next to it in the showroom, the $15,000 starting price feels like a bargain for such a premium heavy metal experience. The honeymoon period usually ends the moment you try to live with this 760-pound giant in the real world. That beautiful boxer engine, while iconic, creates a massive ergonomic hurdle. Because the cylinders stick straight out, your feet are locked into a mid-mount position with zero room to stretch out. On a long cruise, the lack of floorboard flexibility becomes painful, and the heat rising from those ginormous heads will turn your shins into heating elements during a summer ride. While you might spend $16,000 or more after adding the first edition chrome and accessories, you are still left with a rear suspension that offers less than 3 inches of travel. It is a stunning piece of art to park outside a cafe, but as a primary touring machine, the weight and restrictive foot positioning make it a bike you will likely admire more in your garage than on the highway. Number 10. Suzuki Boulevard M109R. The Suzuki Boulevard M109R is a massive power cruiser that defines road presence with its signature headlight nacelle and a rear tire so wide it looks like it belongs on a muscle car. The 1800cc V-twin engine is a powerhouse, offering a mechanical grunt and a shaft drive that promises low maintenance and high reliability. For a price tag hovering around $15,500, you get a motorcycle that looks like it could tear the asphalt off the ground, standing out in any crowd with its heavy chrome and aggressive, swept-back lines. The challenge of ownership starts the moment you try to maneuver this 800-pound beast in a parking lot or a tight turn. That massive 240mm rear tire, while visually stunning, makes the bike resist laning, requiring significant physical effort to tip into a corner. The gearbox is notoriously clunky, often feeling like a hammer hitting a metal plate when shifting from first to second, which can be frustrating for a bike costing over $16,000 after delivery. Additionally, the reach to the handlebars and the forward foot pegs is designed for giants, leaving average-sized riders stretched out in a windsock position that becomes painful at highway speeds. The M109R is a fantastic machine for looking tough at a stoplight, but the heavy clutch and stubborn handling make it a workout rather than a relaxing ride. Number 9. Yamaha V-Max. The Yamaha V-Max is a legend of mechanical intimidation, looking like a collection of massive air intakes held together by a high-performance engine. In 2026, it remains the gold standard for power cruisers, featuring a 1700cc V4 engine that produces nearly 200 horsepower. Walking up to this bike with $18,000 in hand feels like buying a ticket to a rocket launch, especially with its iconic quad exhaust and muscular forward-leaning stance. The reality of owning a V-Max, however, is a constant battle with its thirst and its ergonomics. That massive engine requires a lot of fuel, yet the tank hidden under the seat is notoriously small, often forcing a stop at the pump every 80 to 90 miles. For a machine that costs nearly $20,000 after taxes, the constant range anxiety ruins the flow of a long afternoon ride. Furthermore, while the bike is incredibly fast in a straight line, its 700-pound weight becomes painfully apparent the moment the road starts to curve, requiring significant muscle to stay on line. Overall, the V-Max is a spectacular engineering feat, but the frequent fuel stops and heavy handling make it a high-maintenance relationship. Number 8. Moto Guzzi V85. The Moto Guzzi V85 is a stunning tribute to the classic desert racers of the 80s, featuring a unique transverse V-twin engine and a paint scheme that pops in any lighting. In 2026, it remains one of the most soulful adventure bikes on the market, standing out from a sea of plastic-heavy competitors with its exposed metal and Italian flair. Walking into a dealership with $12,500 feels like buying a piece of rolling art that promises rugged capability and a character-rich exhaust note. The reality of owning this beauty often surfaces when the pavement ends or the pace quickens. While it looks like a hardcore off-roader, the 850cc engine produces roughly 75 horsepower, which can feel lethargic when the bike is loaded with luggage and a passenger. For a machine that can push toward $14,000 after adding essential touring panniers, the shaft drive, while low maintenance, adds a level of driveline lash that makes low-speed technical riding a jerky experience. Ultimately, the Moto Guzzi V85 is a stunning piece of Italian soul that looks ready for a global expedition. But the modest power delivery and a sparse dealer network for specific maintenance can turn your dream adventure into a logistical headache. Number 7. Harley-Davidson Fat Bob. The Harley-Davidson Fat Bob is a post-apocalyptic muscle bike that looks like it was ripped straight out of a sci-fi action movie. With its rectangular LED headlight, thick tires, and upswept bronze exhaust, it redefined what a modern cruiser could look like. In 2026, it continues to be one of the most aggressive-looking machines in the lineup, powered by the Milwaukee 114 V-twin that delivers a mountain of torque. For a starting price of roughly $19,000, the bike promises a sport cruiser experience that blends heavy-hitting American power with a chassis that looks ready to tackle any urban jungle or winding backroad. However, the Fat Bob comes with some literal baggage once you actually start riding it. The massive front tire, while looking incredibly tough, makes the steering feel heavy and slow, requiring a lot of input to initiate a turn. While the dual-disc brakes look high-performance, the bike still weighs nearly 700 pounds, which you feel every time you try to bring those $19,000 worth of chrome and steel to a quick stop. Additionally, the seat is notoriously stiff, and the riding position reaches forward in a way that puts a lot of pressure on the lower back during longer trips. In the end, the Harley-Davidson Fat Bob is a post-apocalyptic muscle bike that turns heads in every zip code. Yet the heavy steering and jarring rear suspension make it a physically demanding machine that is often more fun to look at than to actually navigate through a long day of riding. Number 6. A Triumph Trident 660. The Triumph Trident 660 is a masterclass in modern minimalist design, offering a sleek neo-retro aesthetic that makes it look far more expensive than its $8,500 entry price. In 2026, it remains a standout for those who want a clean, British-engineered triple that sounds as good as it looks. With its high-quality finishes, a shapely fuel tank, and a compact rear end that leaves the back tire fully exposed, it promises a nimble and sophisticated riding experience. On the showroom floor, the value seems unbeatable for a machine that delivers 80 horsepower and a suite of electronics usually reserved for bikes costing well over $10,000. the reality of living with the Trident often surfaces as you push the bike beyond a casual city commute. While the 660cc engine is smooth, the suspension is budget-oriented and non-adjustable, which means it can feel unsettled and bouncy when the road gets rough. For a bike that totals nearly $10,000 once you add the essential quickshifter and luggage accessories, the small physical dimensions make it feel cramped for anyone over 6 feet tall. Additionally, the seat padding is surprisingly thin, turning a 2-hour ride into a literal pain. At the end of the day, the Triumph Trident 660 is a gorgeous entry into the British triple family. But the budget-grade suspension and cramped ergonomics for larger riders mean that the premium feel often evaporates the moment you hit a real-world pothole. Number 5. Indian Scout 60. The Indian Scout 60 is a masterclass in clean, heritage-inspired design that makes it one of the most attractive mid-sized cruisers on the market. In 2026, it continues to draw crowds with its blacked-out engine, low-slung frame, and those iconic flared fenders that pay homage to the original 1920s silhouette. Walking into a showroom with $12,000 feels like an incredible deal for a liquid-cooled V-twin that delivers 78 horsepower and a smooth, predictable power delivery. The reality of owning this bike often becomes apparent after the first hour in the saddle. While that low seat height looks sleek, it results in a suspension with only 3 inches of travel, meaning every manhole cover or expansion joint sends a jarring shock directly into your spine. For a bike that can easily reach $14,000 after you add a windshield and bags, the lack of a 6th gear on the highway makes the engine feel buzzy and overworked at 70 miles per hour. The single-disc front brake also feels surprisingly wooden when you need to bring 550 pounds of American steel to a quick stop. Overall, the Indian Scout 60 is a motorcycle that wins every beauty contest at the local meet. But the limited suspension and missing 6th gear can make it a frustrating companion for those used to seamless modern performance. Number 4. Royal Enfield Shotgun 650. The Royal Enfield Shotgun 650 is a stunning factory custom that blends a neo-retro bobber aesthetic with a modern modular design. In 2026, it remains one of the most visually captivating middleweights on the road, featuring a blacked-out 650cc parallel twin engine and a unique, aggressive stance that looks much more expensive than its $7,000 starting price. Walking into a showroom, the bike feels like a high-end boutique build, offering a level of metallic finish and classic charm that is rare for a machine in this bracket. The reality of living with the Shotgun 650 often surfaces once the road gets technical or the trip gets long. While it looks like a nimble street fighter, the bike weighs nearly 530 pounds, which is a lot of mass for a 47 horsepower engine to move with any real urgency. For a motorcycle that can push toward $8,000 after dealer markups and basic accessories, the stiff rear suspension is unforgiving, turning every minor bump into a jarring reminder of its budget-friendly shocks. The foot pegs are placed in a mid-mount position that often feels awkward for taller riders, causing their legs to feel cramped against the fuel tank after only an hour of riding. When you get down to it, the Royal Enfield Shotgun 650 is an incredible achievement in factory custom styling. But the sheer weight and lackluster engine performance mean you are often working twice as hard to keep up with traffic as the bike's aggressive look suggests. Number 3. Harley-Davidson Nightster. The Harley-Davidson Nightster is a striking evolution of the classic silhouette, blending a lean, mean profile with the high-tech Revolution Max 975T liquid-cooled engine. In 2026, it stands out as a sharp, blacked-out machine that promises a more agile and modern experience than the heavy air-cooled cruisers of the past. Walking into a showroom with $12,000 feels like a solid down payment on a bike that produces 90 horsepower and features a unique fuel tank located under the seat to lower the center of gravity. The reality of living with the Nightster often surfaces when you realize how much plastic is used to achieve that metal look. While it looks like a premium $13,000 motorcycle, The fit and finish in certain areas, such as the exposed wiring and plastic covers, can feel a bit budget-oriented once you are cleaning it in your driveway. Furthermore, because the fuel tank is under the seat, the actual tank in front of you is just an airbox cover, which lacks the solid metallic thud that Harley enthusiasts expect from their investment. Ultimately, the Harley-Davidson Nightster is a high-tech leap forward for the brand's iconic silhouette. But the heavy use of plastic components and the surprisingly harsh ride quality can leave owners feeling like they paid a premium price for a bike that lacks the solid mechanical soul of its predecessors. Number 2. Triumph Rocket 3. The Triumph Rocket 3 is an absolute brute of a motorcycle that looks like a jet engine with 2 wheels attached. In 2026, it remains the undisputed king of displacement, featuring a massive 2500cc triple engine that produces a staggering 163 foot-pounds of torque. Walking into a showroom with $25,000 feels like purchasing a piece of heavy artillery, with its triple-header exhaust pipes and a single-sided swing arm that leaves the massive rear wheel completely exposed. However, the reality of owning this $26,000 Titan becomes apparent the moment you have to do anything other than launch it from a stoplight. Weighing in at over 700 pounds, the Rocket 3 is a physical handful to manage in a garage or during low-speed U-turns, where its sheer mass feels like it wants to succumb to gravity. The heat coming off those 3 massive cylinders is intense, turning a slow cruise into a leg-scorching ordeal, and the rear tire, while visually stunning, is a proprietary size that can cost over $400 to replace after just a few thousand miles of aggressive riding. Ultimately, the Triumph Rocket 3 is a glorious engineering flex that dominates any parking lot, but the high running costs and massive physical footprint Number 1. Indian Chief. The Indian Chief is a masterclass in minimalist American design, stripping away the excess to leave nothing but a massive air-cooled V-twin and a steel tube frame. In 2026, it remains one of the most beautiful cruisers on the market, featuring a timeless silhouette that looks like it was hand-built in a custom shop. Walking into a dealership with $15,000 feels like buying a ticket to a purist's dream, especially with the Thunderstroke Triple 11 engine that produces a staggering 108 foot-pounds of torque. The challenge of living with the Chief often reveals itself the moment the pavement isn't perfectly smooth. While the bike looks sleek and low, that aesthetic comes at the cost of suspension travel. With only 3 inches in the rear, every bridge expansion joint feels like a direct hammer blow to your lower back. Furthermore, that massive air-cooled engine radiates an immense amount of heat, which becomes unbearable when you are stuck in summer traffic, effectively slow-roasting your right leg. Ultimately, the Indian Chief is a stunning tribute to the golden age of motorcycling that commands respect at every stoplight. But the punishing ergonomics and lack of long-distance refinement can turn a weekend getaway into a test of physical endurance. And with this, we have reached the end of this video. Make sure to like it and subscribe the channel for future upcoming videos.